take some ground.
This is where Joseph Parker's a bit of a puncher, guys.
Well, it was a big uppercut. Whyte just stepped back and stumbled back.
Dillian needs to lean on Joseph Parker here, time him out a little bit. It's a great response from Dillian Whyte. You know, he's using the weight to his advantage now.
The crowd rally again as these two go to...
One thing you can say about Dillian Whyte, all of his fights are exciting. You know, and also, I mean, not all of them. His big fights are exciting because he's had some stinkers, but those were his build-up fights back to heavyweight contention. And right now, you know, he's got some options, even though it's not going to be the options that he wants. For example, he wants Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, or the winner of Manuel Charr versus Frezo Quindo. That fight is taking place on September the 29th. And right now here in the States, we have no way to watch it. Frezo Quindo, by the way, hasn't fought in 4 years, but yet he's owed that title shot because of a court order. So the winner of that is highly sought after by guys like Gerald Miller, by Dillian Whyte, you know, Derek Chisora, because they see that as an easy way to getting a title. After all, both of these guys, Gerald Miller most recently, and Dillian Whyte, rejected fighting Kubrat Pulev for the IBF title. And what we've known and we've learned with the Mikey Garcia situation, with Carl Froch's situation back in the day, with Gennady Golovkin's situation, you know, the IBF will strip you. If you know, so for these guys to, you know, not fight Kubrat Pulev, who's, by the way, likely going to be fighting Hughie Fury, for them to not fight Kubrat Pulev and try to go after this WBA world title, you know, it's like, if you want Joshua, even though they are under the same promotional banner, you know, Eddie Hearn, meaning Gerald Miller, and Dillian Whyte, they have no interest in fighting each other right now. They're not talking about each other, but yet they're both after that same title. And then when you factor in Dominic Breazeale won the WBC, for example, news has been circulating around, which is kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say kind of, it's old news. It's been old news for a while. Is that the WBC's rankings are going to lower Dillian Whyte from #1 to some old bullshit. Whatever the case is, when you're ranked #1 does not mean you're the mandatory. What it means is you'll be getting a shot at a mandatory. I know it's confusing. Don't shoot the messenger, motherfucker. I ain't make the rules. All right? For example, the IBF is always currently, usually throughout the year, known not to have somebody ranked as #1. But when they become the mandatory, you know, they get put in that #1 spot. But it's different for the different organizations. So in this case, Dominic Breazeale just did an interview yesterday. Right now it's August the 7th, 2018, 2:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dominic Breazeale did an interview yesterday talking about how he can't get his WBC title shot because Wilder versus Fury is in talks. I'm paraphrasing. Wilder versus Fury is in talks, and the WBC told him that he can't get it until after December, right? So which means that Wilder can fight Tyson Fury and then go on to fight, you know, Anthony Joshua because of a unification. And basically what I'm saying is Dominic Breazeale will likely not get his title shot. In a perfect world, will likely not get his title shot until at least June, July, you know, and it could very well be extended until the end of 2019, depending. No bullshit. So Dillian Whyte, you got to think, second in line is not, Dillian Whyte second in line is not going to get his WBC title shot until after that. Now, I can sit here for about 20, 25 minutes and go over what's happened with the WBC and Deontay Wilder and why he hasn't had a mandatory. And why he's had the belt so long and only had what? His last mandatory was in November. People have been saying he hasn't had any mandatories. For example, right? He had the Alexander Povetkin mandatory. Remember, he had 3 voluntaries before that because a lot of people, including myself, were thinking that, okay, he's going to try to get as many wins under his belt as make as much money as possible before he could potentially take a big fight with Alexander Povetkin and lose. Alexander Povetkin failed the drug test. You know, Alexander Povetkin got found to be innocent. You know, because of miscommunication with the drug meldonium, and it was a lack of information in regards to how long it stays in your system. Long story short, from my understanding, and believe you me, I have the court documents. I want to pull them up for you for credibility purposes. But the point is, that wasn't Wilder's fault. When he was supposed to fight Luis Ortiz, Breazeale Stavern was supposed to fight Dominic Breazeale on the undercard of that. For the WBC interim title, Luis Ortiz fails a drug test for high blood pressure. You know, he like fucking 45, 50 years old. Then Wilder versus Ortiz finally happens. So understand that Breazeale Stavern, the fight in November, Wilder's mandatory was Breazeale Stavern because of finagling with Don King and him being in cahoots and being like the godfather of Mauricio Suleiman, who runs the WBC. You see what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, even though it's fucked up bullshit politics, you would have to look at the way sanctioning bodies used to work back in the day. I'm talking about in the 90s and the 2000s before like social media. Fucked up crazy ass shit used to be going on. And Don King used to be in heavy cahoots with the WBC. Now, not so much, since the son Mauricio Suleiman, you know, rest in peace Jose, is running the show. So in my opinion, people say Wilder's been holding on to that title, but that's not exactly true. Yes, earlier in his title reign, he could have been more risky and pursued guys like, you know, Fury then and guys like Klitschko then. But, you know, right now, those past mistakes have come back to bite him in the ass. It's not past mistakes, because they didn't know Anthony Joshua was going to blow up like this, you know? So he's been legitimately trying to fight big fights, like between the Alexander Povetkin fight falling through, between the hand injury, right? And then it was 2 hand injuries, right? And then, you know, Luis Ortiz fell in a drug test, and then Breazeale Stavern somehow being made the mandatory again. It didn't make any sense. But in regards to Dillian Whyte, yes, they screwed him over because they should have ordered him to fight Dominic Breazeale. And in my opinion, he can fight Dominic Breazeale, take his spot, raise his stature, because it's kind of like a heavyweight Game of Thrones going on right now, where there's a process of elimination. For example, I'm talking about like to reach the top of the top of the division. So if Anthony Joshua beats Alexander Povetkin, he's still there. Manuel Charr, Frezo Quindo, whoever wins that are going to be in the mix. Kubrat Pulev, Huey Fury are going to be in the mix. Joseph Parker is out of the mix right now. Luis Ortiz is on the outside looking in, trying to get back into the mix. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and we're talking about the movers and shakers, the big names in the division. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are about to cancel themselves out if they fight. They're still trying to get the details finalized for the fight. Also, understand they will not or can't, you know, and I know people are going to argue and say, well, they do it for fights all the time. Not for big major fights like this. They're not going to announce this fight, Wilder versus Fury, and have a press conference and all that until after August the 18th, when hopefully Tyson Fury beats Francisco Pianetta. They are not going to announce Wilder versus Fury. There's dozens of reasons I can give you why. So a lot of people are in real denial right now. They do not want to believe it's happening for multiple reasons, because they're like, oh shit, we really want to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. What if Deontay Wilder wins? And then we can't. And what if Deontay Wilder does fight Tyson Fury? You know, we got to give him some props now. You know, it's a slippery slope, and I understand how people think, you know, right now it's a double narrative going on with my channel right now. You got a certain amount of people who say I'm a Wilder hater, and then the other amount that say I'm a Wilder dick rider. Nah, man, I love vagina, man. It's a sweet, juicy nectar all in my beard. But I think that Dillian Whyte should fight Derek Chisora. I think that makes the most sense. That rematch can be on pay-per-view. Also, if I'm correct, didn't Derek Chisora say that he'll take 10%, Whyte can get 40%, 50%, and the winner get the other 40%. Now, I know it really doesn't work like that in negotiations, but still. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can pull it up for you. Past week. I don't feel like searching through it. But, you know, it's a fight that sells, but also you have to think Derek Chisora is a fucking madman right now because at this stage in his career, he's got nothing to lose. So he can come in and fuck Dillian Whyte world up, fuck the plans of Anthony Joshua up and Dillian Whyte. Because just imagine if Derek Chisora beats Dillian Whyte. Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury, or even vice versa. You have to think that where does that leave Joshua for that September 22nd fight? The heavyweight division is lit as fuck right now. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it to see all these storylines play out, especially to see the closing of some storylines at the end of this year. For example, we're going to find out how legit Wilder really is, fighting Luis Ortiz, then going on to fight Tyson Fury. We're going to find out if Tyson Fury is really, really back. For example, Tyson Fury is in a win-win situation because if he loses, people are going to say, you know, he shouldn't have took that fight this soon. And he can still go back on that, you know, rebuilding path and build himself back up. But don't get me wrong, his reputation, you know, will be severely damaged, especially if he get knocked out. But in regards to Deontay Wilder, if he loses to Tyson Fury, he's got so much to lose. Nonetheless, we're going to see, man. Like I said, in my opinion, it makes perfect sense for him to fight either either Gerald Miller or Derek Chisora or even Luis Ortiz. But it's more money right now than Luis Ortiz and Derek Chisora, I think, right? Over in the UK, y'all got to let me know. But he doesn't want to stay out until April, which is a pretty long time. I don't know. We'll see. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.